Hey everybody, it's Brandon Doherty Doe, Weather Guy, and this is part three of reading a surface analysis chart. Okay, with this one, we're going to focus more on the types of what we call fronts. Okay, and there are four basic types of fronts. All right, and so we're going to go over on this map. We're going to just go over the fronts that we can observe and see. Sorry, I'm just getting my drawing tool here. Okay, so we know about lows. That's the first type front. Second type front here, highs. Third type of front is a warm front. And fourth type of front is you see these little blue triangles. Okay. And that's our fourth front. All right. In some cases, you'll see on a weather map this brown line. Okay, that goes like that. That is called a dry line. We are not going to talk about that in this video. That is a little bit more advanced, and we'll get there, but it's a little bit more meteorological, and I don't want to, that's a whole separate video, okay? All right, so let's go back to our highs and lows. Okay, so let's start with this low right here in the center of the country. All right. This is this looks like it's in Oklahoma, Kansas. It's right now it's in the north side of northwest Kansas. Okay. It's at 996 millibars. Okay. That's a strong low. And how we can tell from that, you see these lines? Okay. You see how like close together they are here, but you come out here to the East Coast and they're much wider. That's what we call pressure gradient. So we have a deep high, strong high here on the East Coast, and we have a strengthening low in in the sort of middle central part of the country, and that can create sometimes some turbulent weather. Right. A low pressure such as this one, it's called a cyclone for a reason. It wraps warm air, and that's our red feature here. I don't know what's going on with the my pen. Sorry. And then it wraps around the cooler air. So it wraps cold air and warm air together, and what it does is lifts the air. If you think of a table that's solid, that's on the ground, and then you come by and you lift the table up. Okay, well, we call that lift. And once you get that lifting of the air in an environment that's surrounding it that is kind of primed for, potential storms, there's a lot of there you can have a lot of severe weather. And that's again, it's a whole nother video for that. But what can we tell just from the surface? Well, we can tell just by looking at this that there's probably, either going to be or there's going to be some turbulent weather in this part of the country pretty much from the middle of Kansas through eastern Oklahoma down to, let's say, parts of Louisiana today, and that is just advancing northeast. Okay, so that's generally what we can tell just from a low that is that strong. Um, Now you see the different colors. Well, blue obviously is for cold, cooler air. Red is for warmer, hot air, and then the purple means this is an occluded low, meaning it is a mature storm that probably is in the it's in the ending stages. It'll go through, it's sort of like in the middle, and then it'll end sometime as it moves further east into some cooler areas, cooler atmosphere. So um, I'm glad that I was kind of on there, because then I could explain what the colors meant as well. Okay, so I'm going to go in further. Okay, and so generally on the news, what you hear is there's a warm front coming, there's a cold front coming. Okay, all right. So we see the arrows, right? Okay, so this cold front is coming north to south, right? The temperatures on one side are 66, and I believe that's 57. I still can't tell. It could be 67. I don't know. I'm just going to assume, unless I had a exact reading. Um, but the temperatures behind that are 31 here in Wyoming, somewhere in Wyoming, probably Casper, and then 36 up in here in Billings, Montana. Okay, so a cold air is moving towards the warmer air. So it doesn't mean cold air is already in place. It means a cold front is bringing cooler air, but it's the areas behind it are cooler than the areas in front of it. Okay, and just as same thing, it's the opposite with a warm front. Behind a warm front, the temperatures are warmer, and in front of it, the temperatures are cooler. So where those two air masses meet forms what we call a boundary. And anytime you have a boundary, anytime you have lift, and anytime you have other instability factors in an area, you can always get a storm or two, or even worse. Okay? So, the numbers. Okay. So again, the numbers are an indicating of how strong that front is. So if you see at 995 millibars, if you see less than 1,000 for a low, that's a pretty strong low. If you see above 10 or 1012 or 1013 for a high, that's a strong high. Okay. So you really don't have to know what a millibar is, but you can also tell, and one more aspect of these two and these fronts, because I'm going to finish this up in three parts, are these lines. These are our isobars, and our isobars tell us a number of things. They tell us how strong the wind is, how tight the pressure and temperature gradient is. Okay, they tell us actually, if you think about what tells us more, what on a weather map would I say tells me more about what's going on? These isobars right here. So these isobars right here are kind of tight. So this tells me there's probably significant storm systems going on, and then B, there's probably a greater temperature gradient or temperature change from one area to the next. So, and then depending on where it is, that's where that sets up. So that's another important aspect. So we have just read a weather map together, and generally, that if that's all you do, in the morning and read a weather, if I like people say, I read a weather map. Well, what does that mean? Well, it means exactly what we just did. If you look at the temperatures in an area, 43, 25, you can tell how warm, how cold it is, and the pressure and temperature dew point, how moist the air is. The highs and the lows, you can tell where generally the nicer weather is as opposed to the stormier weather. Right now, it looks like to me, if I were just reading this map this morning, I would go, it's pretty stable from that line on east. It's pretty stable from this line on west. And then it's right here where the weather is sort of turbulent. So if I'm a meteorologist and I'm looking, what area should I focus in on today? It's that area right there, because generally I can assume and I can look out my window that the weather is fine on the East Coast. There's nothing going on here. There's really nothing going on here, but there's probably a lot more going on in this area. And those are for future videos that we will do together this summer. All right. So thanks for taking the time. And what we're going to do is we're going to read some weather maps, and we're going to tell generally what's going on in one area as opposed to another. This is Mr. D, Brandon Doherty, Delaware Weather Guy, saying adios.